you go out with them, you'd get a Ouija board and have, as a gift, and then you'd play with it.
What if you're a slut, you just have a wall of Ouija boards in your house?
This one is about Robert Johnson Buried. And
Johnson Buried.
I wonder if it was a Phillips or a Flathead.
It's a flathead now.
If you are looking for a dead serious podcast with dry, humorless people, I'm afraid you are in the wrong place. This is Midnight Hollow, and we will dive into some weird, creepy, and downright strange stories with a twist of humor, bad puns, and a whole lot of laughs. So sit back and enjoy the podcast. You are listening to Season 2, Episode 6 of the Midnight Hollow podcast. Coming up in this episode, we will talk about the Ouija-related demon named Zozo. That's a name I can actually pronounce. 2 rapid-fire questions that are sure to result in more questions than answers, a couple of strange stories, and we will offer reasons why you should be very careful at the hardware store. I'll let that one kind of sink in, because at the end...
It does sink in.
Yeah. And we'll leave it at that, because the story can be pretty crappy.
Literally.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was screwed.
That's one of the reasons why I chose that, because, man, that is just a pun haven.
Yes.
Busy screwing around.
That's why it's called the hardware store.
We're ruining it, man. We gotta wait for the end for these things.
Sorry.
All right, so we are talking about Zozo and the Ouija board, or the witch board, or the spirit board, or however you want to put it. Now, the Ouija board itself has only been around for 30, 40 years, maybe, I think.
1890.
1890?
So that's how many years before you were born?
A couple.
1850, they said that they have reports of people doing it, and then 1890 was like an official one. But then I was reading an article, actually one of them that you linked, or she linked, about that they believe that they started doing that back before Christ's days.
Yep, that would be the spirit boards.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, there is such things as witch boards, and the one podcast I was listening to, the guy did a whole book on it. It was called Zozo, Understanding Zozo, or something like that. And he found a really old Ouija board, and he flipped it over, and the only way he described it was a witch board.
What did it have on it?
What it is you don't use that side, but it had all these engravings and symbols and like Latin on it, and you flip it back over, and it's supposed to enhance the Ouija board.
You don't make sandwiches.
No. No, definitely not. He was talking about that and how it got him into kind of a lot of trouble in regards to that, because they didn't know any better and they didn't know how to close it out. Zozo seems to be something that's been around for quite some time, too. The first time they heard about it, once they kind of figured out what it was, because out of the gate, Zozo was just something new to everyone, didn't realize what was going on. It was just another, they kind of call it a trickster, trickster demon. Very difficult to get rid of. And a lot of the things you see with him in regards to maybe drawings or ideas, he's a clown. Like it.
Same.
Like Stephen King would be proud of Zozo. It would be It Part 3.
Wasn't he supposed to be like a Mesopotamian entity?
Yep, because that's what they dated it back to. Then they're like, as they're going back, it wasn't necessarily using the name Zozo. It was
Pazozo.
Yep, and Zozo.
Zozo. Pazuzu. Right?
And then Zaza and Mama.
Mama.
Like
that Guillermo del Toro, My Stan, his movie.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Mama.
Again, in the podcast we're listening to, they're saying, and he's also known as Mama. And I'm like, what? I go, it's not today's context. You got to think Mesopotamia and all that. That was something back then. But they were all like one. Well,
because an M looks like a Z if you flip it. Or he's very up to date and he's just gender fluid.
He could be.
That's the thing, is everyone's like, he. And I was like, wait, when did we decide that this was a he demon? And also, are demons like gendered?
Yeah, they're definitely gendered.
How if they haven't been alive? Like, if they haven't been in like a physical body, how are they gendered?
If it's being named Mama, I'm saying it's a female.
Well, Mama means something different in that. But I know what you mean.
Doesn't it mean like crow? Wasn't there something that it was like crow or like blackbird?
Yeah, I think they mentioned it was like the feather of a foul bird. Foul bird.
What's wrong with crows?
I love crows. I named my company after Nevermore Design. It originated before we even knew it was Zozo. This guy, he wrote the book on it, and he said that he did a lot of interviewing with people. The one thing he said was prominent throughout almost every single account was they didn't know what the hell they're doing with the board.
Yeah.
They're just, let's have some fun, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, they're getting the trickster, getting things getting thrown around the room, bad things happening to them.
Figure 8s on the board.
Yep, figures 8 and ZOZO.
And
Claiming that they left the board in one place and then it's in a different place the next day. Oh, hell no.
you know, gotta burn the whole house down now, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to bring in a Ouija board, but my distributor, lady I always buy all my stuff through, she didn't have any. Because I went through like Amazon and all them, and all of them are like Milton Bradley
Yeah,
ones. And I'm
that's
like,
such a weird thing that it's a family board game distributor for a Ouija board.
mm-hmm.
And I also found out in a roundabout way, they don't sell them like in stores in Australia. You have to like order them through another company and have them shipped.
I think I knew that. Yeah, Mysterious Universe has
weird?
talked about that you can't sell them in brick and mortar. You have to like order them in cigarettes? Nope. Drinking or alcohol? Nope. Ouija boards? Nope. Another thing I found out is like in the 40s and 50s, one thing you used to do on your first date with someone, you go out with them, you'd get a Ouija board and have, as a gift, and then you'd play with it.
So everyone had, what if you're a slut, you just have a wall of Ouija boards in your house?
Yeah, Zozo. Zozo's got the little extra action. That's a good point.
Like,
thank
what do you do
so
with
much.
the old board?
Open up the closet, all these Ouija boards fall on your head. I don't know, but it was like one of the things they dug up. It's like, it used to be a thing, but imagine now, say, hey, you want to go out sometime? Sure. All right, I'll pick you up. Picks you up, takes you to a place, plops down a Ouija board. What would you do?
I wouldn't do it.
I already told you how I felt when you said that you were going to get one. I was like, well, you guys are going to be doing it in the room, and I'll stand in the corner and watch. Like, I've never laid a finger on one of those, and I'm not laying a finger on one of those. I don't even wholeheartedly believe in that kind of stuff, but I'm not tempting fate.
Right. Oh, I wouldn't. I would only bring it for reference. I wouldn't have brought it to actually.
Absolutely not.
I played one time, and I was maybe like 11 with my friend and her little sister in their basement when her mom wasn't home. And so they played a trick on me and pretended that the sister was getting possessed because they purposely she took her hands off the Ouija board, and I was sitting there and I was like, why didn't you tell me you were taking your hands off? What is it? The planchette? Is that what it's called? Why didn't you tell me so I could move my hands? And they're like, oh, sorry. And I was like, are you joking? And then her sister just started like acting weird, and then like was twitching randomly, and then started like growling, and I freaked out. I like locked myself in the bathroom because I was so scared, and like they were just both out there screaming and running around and like wreaking havoc, and I was literally in the bathroom like crying until my friend was like, we were playing a trick on you, just come out, like there's nothing wrong. And I was like, wow.
And that was the last time you ever hung out with that friend.
No, I was hanging out with it. But, like, we were, back then, we all did prank each other a lot. So I should have expected it. But I was I don't know why I didn't. I would if I didn't have kids. But I feel like it's not okay to bring
It's kind of how
danger
I feel about
upon them if there's a chance of danger, even if I'm not someone who believes in it.
Mm-hmm. Right there with you.
So the main reason why I picked this was, our coworker Aaron, he lost someone recently, and he decided he wanted to try, and he never really got to say goodbye, and his friend's wife was like huge into this, so he went over and had a seance, or whatever you want to call it.
I think it's called a seance, or is it a reading?
Reading seance. I'm not sure exactly, because I don't know if he's reading, but I don't know if it's a seance either, but they used a Ouija board, and started off with it going to Z-O, and then she shut it down. She goodbye, pulled it away, and was like, yep, we're going to wait a little bit. And then they went back to it, and it was fine. But he's like, what the heck was that? And then he remembers, he's like, whoa, that's Zozo. It's like, oh, crap. So he talked to her about it, and then he talked to me about it. I was like, hey, that's a perfect idea for a podcast. Zozo.
Why didn't they do any sort of declaration before opening their session?
I imagine they did. He didn't get into that much detail, but I imagine they did. And a lot of times that doesn't matter if it's ready to. All you got to be doing is, I guess, is like thinking about it. It's a matter of manifestation. It's not like it's just going to happen no matter what. It's you start it, and if you're really thinking about it, like, man, I really hope Zozo doesn't show up, and all of a sudden, you're really worried about it. It starts to happen.
Not supposed to say the name,
right?
Which we are breaking.
Right. Well,
a lot right now.
Yeah, but we're not in any kind of situation that warrants the power. Like, we're only talking here if we did have a Ouija board or we were in the middle of it, that brings the power, the name to the power.
Yeah.
And vice versa. When you don't have that, it doesn't happen.
Did they make contact with the person they wanted to? Did
yes.
you say that? Oh.
Yes, they did.
That's the thing is, I was going to say, I've never heard of anyone playing with Ouija boards and actually talking to who they wanted to talk to or having, like, a good experience. It's always been, like, negative or, like, spirits they don't know or an entity that they didn't want. I've never heard of it ever working
everybody
out.
Freaking out.
Yeah, it's never worked out well. So I feel like if I was going to contact someone, like, that wouldn't be on my list of, like, ways to do it because I've just never heard it, like, working out very well.
Because he said that he was asking questions that only the person or his friend's wife didn't know this person at all. So it's not like she would be able to guide it in any way. Mm-hmm. And and he was like, something about his favorite meal that she used to cook him was meatloaf. And it went MEATL, and then it just kind of, but it was spelling that. And that's when he just was like, whoa, that's deep.
It was just a really big Rocky Horror fan.
And then too. But it was kind of the idea I had when I for the next episode, and it's not easy coming up with something. I mean, there's so many. There's too many things you can talk about. Yeah. So trying to narrow it down. It's like I always say that about my video games. I have way too many video games. What do I play? I want to play, but what do I play? I have way too many. So
use the Ouija board and ask it what you're gonna play.
But once something like okay, we're just gonna do that unless someone else like, and I feel like that's how we end up doing it. Something happens and they're like, huh, that'd be kind of cool. We just kind of go with it. So that's where I came up with the Zozo.
Stop saying the name.
The entities.
There's no power for it to have here, so there's no worries about that.
He who must not be named.
I mean, would you go to a bar named Zozo or a restaurant named Zozo?
I feel like I wouldn't think of it first off until, like, probably when I got home from, like, eating, and I'd be like, oh, right.
Depends what kind of food they're serving.
Right.
Like, if it's something I don't really like, I'd be like, nah. But if it's something that I really like, yeah, I might, make the sacrifice for a good steak.
Devil eggs.
Oh.
Yeah, that would end up in more demons in the bathroom.
That sounds like a really shitty metal band.
Yes.
Demons in the bathroom.
Dude, that would be a great grunge band or a punk band. Demons in the bathroom. The only other thing I really have about this is, and I don't know, I guess because people love Led Zeppelin. Don't remember which album it is. They all sign their name on the album for the album cover, and they put symbols on next to their names. And Robert Plant put Zoso, Z-O-S-O, which is another name of Zozo, but it's more of the Mesopotamian, like the old style. And I guess it just blew up. Everyone was like, what the heck is that? Because everyone else was simple. One of them did the whole charm going, looked like TV show charm. Obviously, it wasn't during that. And the other one looked like a half an Olympic symbol. Another one was a leaf or a feather in a circle. And then there was Zoho.
Well, isn't that the sign for Jupiter, too?
You mean Zoso? Mm-hmm. Yep. They were breaking it all down on
Space demon.
Yeah, now it rings around Uranus.
Demon from Outer Space sounds like a Goosebumps novel.
Yes, it does. Once you say anything about space, like rings around Uranus.
It's the go-to.
Yeah.
That's like the second song after Drops of Jupiter.
Rings around Uranus.
Yeah.
You need drops of Jupiter to clean it off.
Yeah.
No. What? Oh.
Oh, Jim, no. Jim, stop.
1920 Santa.
Oh.
So just a quick rundown what you should do when you start up any kind of Ouija board, spirit board, anything like that. You should always declare what you want to do, what you're aiming for. You should also always protect yourself.
Yes. Always use protection.
Trojan?
Yeah. Yes. Use protection because when you do, you last longer too. More than 10 seconds.
Or non-ribbed.
Ribbed. Might as well. The hell. but you should always declare, protect yourself.
I was like, is this one of our quick fire questions
No.
right now? Do I have to answer
Well,
this?
I think it is now.
She looked over at me and she was like,
I think it is
Do I?
now. Yeah.
do I give an opinion on this? I pass.
Yeah, declare what you want to do. Be careful with everything. Protect yourself. Whatever your religion is, just have it.
What do you mean protect yourself?
For me, in my religious beliefs, any kind of seance or anything that I do, I usually always have a circle of salt that keeps things out, and anything that comes up through you doesn't go anywhere until you close out. So, as ridiculous as it might sound, I would put a circle of salt around your... No, it's not like Hollywood, like, ooh, it's really good. No, it's all in the mind. It's very difficult to understand how, like, witchcraft works. It's not necessarily like you see in Hollywood. It's a belief system. It's if you believe it's going to work, it will.
Yeah, power of the mind.
Right.
Mind over matter.
The salt is just representation to the power of your mind. You do that, make sure everything's in so nothing gets out. Do what you got to do. If you do see anything that is weird,
Figure eights.
Yeah.
Figure eights.
The four
Zio,
corners.
Zio, back and forth.
Yep.
Or they say anything that's like really repetitive over and over and over again.
Yep.
Could be Zozo. And also I've heard if you ask how old an age and it says like time or 0, that means that it's an entity and not a spirit because they haven't like lived. So they can't give you an age. I've also heard if you ask a name and it gives you like a full first, middle, and last name, that's like a trick to making you feel like safe so that you think that you're talking to a person. Because like an actual spirit wouldn't give you like its full name.
Right.
But that's like a trick that a demon would use to be like, oh, look at like all the information I just gave you. I'm a person.
Yep, that's perfect for Zozo, who's a trickster.
Yeah.
Also, a couple things. Never ask about the future or how you die. Too many times people like, oh, how am I going to die? And the one guy on the podcast said that him and his best friend and someone else was doing it. And for his best friend, it said CARACCID, and it was a car accident. And then it said night. And I think it was like 2 months later, he died in a car accident at night. It begs you to think, was that going to happen no matter what? Or did that become real because you started it?
Right.
So was it reality from whether you were in there or not? Or was it something that only came about because you messed around with the board?
Yeah. And that's what's such interesting about it, too, is so there's the whole idea that it's an actual entity or some type of spiritual form, and then there's also the idea that it's the power of your subconscious mind, which is, I mean, I guess there's no real way of testing it, but it's crazy to think that the way the human mind works, and it could possibly be that, or I don't know. Like I said, I would never play with that myself, but
Isn't that like the idiomotor? Is that what it's called? Where they did like a study after Ouija boards got like super popular to see like are people moving this on their own, and they had them just like hold things on a table and then would like say suggestive things to them before they went in that like had nothing to do with anything. And it was basically a test to see that like if you thought about it, is your body going to react to it like subconsciously and like make your body do something because it's already been like triggered in your brain.
That's interesting. Yeah, Mysterious Universe loves that kind of stuff. They always have things about that. So yeah, I want to say you had the name right too. That sounded very familiar. Where pretty much power of suggestion. Mm-hmm. And subconsciously, like a lot of times when you watch commercials, you don't even realize it. 2 hours later, you're kind of singing the jingle, but you never really paid attention to it's all. Mm-hmm. That's why I can't stand like the State Farm commercials during football. Every single time, it's like, and now I just can't get those shitty commercials out of my mind. But to wrap up the use of the spirit board, always close out. It has a little section where you can close it out, and then if you do use the circle, the circle of salt, make sure you always sweep in an eastern direction. So make sure you know where north, south, east is, because that is the side of the wind. So it will take it away. So you'll be sweeping it up to the east. And that should protect you from pretty much anything that will harm you or anyone outside of that circle. So.
Do you just leave the salt in your house, or do you put it in like the bin?
Oh, you can throw it out after that.
Oh.
No, you just sweep it up.
James has
you're
just
like,
got a
leave it there
pile.
until the wind gets it.
He's got a pile of salt in the corner of his basement.
Yeah.
Just reuse it. I've also heard even if you say, like, today we're not contacting any demonic presences, we're only going to speak to spirits, or, like, even so, if you say something out loud, like, as simply as that, it's supposed to help.
Yeah, and it's just exactly what you said before. It's the power suggestion. If you're like, no, I don't want anything but Joe Bag of Donuts.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Bag of Donuts.
I want some donuts. That helps a lot with that, and it's important that you close it out because that's where everything manifests. When you just end it and you go away, that's where usually everything manifests. When you close it out, everything should just disappear and go away.
It's weird to me to think that, like, even if you're stating these rules, that a demon would be like, oh, well, since I don't have consent, I'm not going to be here. You know what I mean? That doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. But
he didn't say yes, but he didn't say no.
The demon's like, oh, no, you don't want me. Boo-hoo. Like, I don't... That just seems like, I don't know how well that would work.
Right, and I think it's along the same lines as you're talking about, well, don't say his name, it gives him power. That's exactly what it is. If you're not giving the demon the power to do something to you or to come at you or whatever, then it doesn't. It's not necessarily you're saying, no, you can't come. It's like, I'm not even giving you the power to. You're there's nothing that has anything to do with you here. And you bypass it. That's the difference. Like if you were like, hey, Beelzebub or whatever his name is, we call you. Now you've might have opened, the can of worms.
Right.
And you're in for something. But if you don't give it the power, especially during those kind of things, like when we say the name here, it's nothing because there's nothing to give the power to or nothing for the power to come through. So you don't have to worry about it. When you're doing something like that, you got to be very careful.
And that I feel like goes into when people are like, well, it's not a spiritual board. It could be to like another dimension. It's a portal to a dimension. And that functions on like a wavelength of energy. And so when you're like thinking about something, or why they say like if you're working with a board and you're like, oh, we'll prove that you're here by like doing something or like give us a sign, you're giving it like permission to like use energy. And they say like that's how things function, is because you're letting it use your energy in your body and with your brain waves, and then like now you're asking it to use energy in our dimension, and that it like functions on energy.
That makes a lot of sense. And that can be related to a lot of different things too.
Yeah.
But I've watched too many Star Treks and all that stuff. I hate alternate dimension stuff. I can't stand it. Like The Flash. Go fuck yourself, Flash. I hate that, the burst point or whatever it is, where all these different universes. I hate that. I can't stand it. But anyways.
It makes my brain hurt.
Yeah, and it's just, it's lazy writing for me. Because you can just make it anything you want.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we don't have a plot, so the ultimate dimension is blowing up and people are, like, it's garbage.
Isn't that what Huggins said, though? Is he's like, my aliens were in a different dimension.
I would leave that up to Huggins.
Yeah.
Him and his kiss-loving titty women.
Crescent.
Oh, my God, you remembered her
Yes,
name,
Crescent.
I did. Good old Crescent.
Good old Crescent. But I can't remember Huggins' real... Is that his real name?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know his first name. His last name is Huggins, because I always called him Huggy.
Yeah.
God, I don't know his first name. Teeth. He had huge teeth.
Teeth Huggins.
It was the first thing you know when he smiled. It's like...
So weird.
I thought you were interviewing a guy, not a horse. What the hell? All right, so we got the rapid-fire questions. Only 2 here. You ready for this?
Oh,
The first one, this one's for you, Johnny.
Oh, boy.
No, actually, I'm going to go with Nikki on this one.
Yeah.
Because this could be interesting. If you could possess any object, what would you possess?
Myself.
A non-person.
A non-person?
Yeah.
Okay, but what is the parameter of the possession? Like, what do I do if I possess it if it's not alive? It's just sitting
That's the
there.
second question. The first question is, what object did you want? What object would you possess?
And animals aren't an object.
No.
God.
God's not an object.
You don't know that.
That's true.
That's a hard one. I don't like an airplane.
An airplane. What about you, Johnny?
My PG answer would be like my wallet.
Well, what's your R answer?
It's more like X, so we'll just pass over that.
Oh, okay. See, mine would be Katy Perry's underwear.
Oh, gross.
Oh, like you possess. What object could you be something of?
Yeah,
Is
like
that what you're talking about?
Like, what
Like
would you possess? Like how Zozo is part of the Ouija board.
Oh.
What would you be?
Oh,
Yeah.
so I could like scare people?
Well,
Is that
the
what-
second question is...
My joke would always be like, if I'm ever reincarnated, I'd like to be reincarnated as like a bicycle seat or a thong. Like I've always said that as a joke, but
I wouldn't go with the bicycle seat because, no, my luck would be a 400-pound dude that hasn't showered in 2 weeks. And I'd just be like sucking fumes. So the second question is, okay, as a demon or the person or entity that's possessing, what would be the one thing you would be famous for? I mean, what would be the thing that you would do? So you possess an airplane. What would be the thing? Like,
It would successfully fly over the Bermuda Triangle.
It's the Nikki demon. No? Okay.
That's a lot of letters.
Nikki. Nick demon.
Nikki sounds kind of creepy. Nikki.
Nicky.
That would be like the sound I make, like tapping on like the screen when you're playing with the Ouija board.
Nicky. John, with your wallet?
My wallet. I was thinking of like, I want my wallet to be possessed and just like conjure money.
That's a great answer, though. That could be your thing.
Just,
like, my wallet just got possessed by John.
John.
That's like a sub shop.
It's like you open it up and you pull out your last $5 bill and then you're like, shit. And then you open it up again and there's another $5 bill in there.
Never ending money.
It's
only
possessed
$5 bills at a time, though.
You're fucked in a lot of ways.
We keep you to like bus fare and like, a burger or something like that.
You're like, I'd like
cheap
to
six-pack.
buy this plane ticket to Hawaii, but only in fives.
And it's going to take me about 3 weeks.
It's like open, close.
3
Open,
weeks. Close. 3 weeks. We'll close out on the Zozo stuff. So we'll have more information in the description of the podcast if you are interested in learning about it more. The space bar is all sticky.
Slime.
It's slime? Okay.
Too many people use this room.
Ew.
So the first one is actually on www.midnighthollow.com, and that is Bigfoot screaming. It is a really weird sound, so here it is. Hopefully you get it.
Kind of heard it. Remember when we first started doing this podcast and you asked me like what my noise was?
Yes.
I think you found it.
So you're out in the Canadian woods.
Probably. That doesn't sound too
No wonder it's so frequent.
That
so
sounds
fast.
like a stomach rumble, to be honest.
I don't know.
Like
It
a very small stomach gurgle.
Can you play it again?
Yeah, it's
Can you speakerphone it?
It is actually, I think, speakerphoned.
It's a very small Sasquatch.
They have gotten hundreds of experts. No one knows what the hell it is.
It sounds like a wildcat.
They're saying it's not.
You
It is
know?
nothing. It doesn't have like the guttural draw to certain things. They have no idea what it is.
It's Leonard.
It's Leonard in his release. Do you know who Leonard is, John?
No, I don't.
Because John doesn't listen to the podcast episodes he's not in.
I think he did. Remember Bigfoot porn?
I listened to all the old ones. Thank you.
It was me reading Sasquatch erotic fiction for like 20 minutes.
Yep.
That's 20 minutes of the podcast.
I may or may not have listened to that a few times.
And it was written by like that person who was like running for Senate.
Yes. Yeah. And wasn't like the one was writing Bigfoot porn and the other one thought she was abducted by UFOs?
Yes.
Like I want to be part of that one. That one sounds fun. Up here we get people elected who are criminals and going to jail.
Well, politicians.
Politicians gone wild. So if you want to actually hear it, you just go to www.midnighthollow.com. Another one, and I want to mention this, is that Nikki has been putting up great articles on Facebook.com for us, facebook.com/midnighthollow. Midnight Hollow Podcast, or just type in Midnight Hollow and we should pop up. It's not the band, so if it's the Midnight Hollow, it's not us. You can't miss our logo. It's the Headless Horseman. And this one is about Robert Johnson buried. And
Johnson buried.
I can't believe I didn't pick that up. Wow, that's terrible. The not so mysterious missing grave of blues legend Robert Johnson. They say that he is now in hell because he made the deal at the crossroads.
Like Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Oh yeah. Okay. But
I feel like that's a before my time reference, but
if you're a Supernatural fan, this is actually kind of fun and interesting.
it is really good. I don't remember the first time I heard about him and like the legend surrounding him. I feel like it was like on a TV show that was like a compilation of weird like legends about people.
Mysteries at the museum.
Yeah, something like that. And I was like, I've never heard of this before.
That will also be on. Where will that be, Johnny?
www.midnighthollow.com.
You got it. It's where you get you strange. The crap I get around. What was it?
Get some strange.
Where you can get some strange.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah. Reddit also. Go to Midnight Hollow. r/Midnight Hollow, and it's there. And
we also have a Twitter account.
Twitter, but Midnight is spelled different because Midnight Hollow is the band. So if you see like 1990s wannabe people standing around looking dopey, that's not us. So anyways, in Santa Monica, they have a giant pool.
A giant pool?
A big giant pool. The fully immersive 30-foot wide by 30-foot tall inflatable poop emoji-shaped theater is coming to New York next month. So, woo, there you go. It started out in Santa Monica. Now it's going to head over to New York City. So everybody, get your trips ready to go down there and see the Pooh Theater.
I thought you were going to tell us about like a Chinese person.
No.
Sometimes their last names are Pooh.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like some fun shit.
When I used to go to conventions, I was the marketing director for a company, and we'd go to lots of different conventions, trying different ones to try and promote our products and stuff. And we were across from highly Chinese individuals, and they didn't professionally get things translated. Their company was Well Hung Kyle.
What was it supposed to mean?
Well Hung
signs?
was I think the name of the person. Kyle was the name of the product, and it was just these hanging
Kyles.
Yeah, hanging Kyles, or these planters or something like that, as I recall. And they also had these bath mats. And you picked up the thing for the bath mat, and it said, "Sopping hole tastes great."
No, you're lying.
No, I swear to God. I wish I kept it because we were in tears. Like,
why did it taste great?
They didn't do the translations right. Like, it's hilarious.
What
Sometimes
was
it
that supposed
does.
to be?
It was just bath mats. And they did have, like, fragrances. Like, there's bath mats that had, like, potpourri scent to them.
It's kind of a smart idea.
It was, but they didn't translate it very well. It's sopping whole. What the hell? I mean, that kind of makes sense with that, but tastes great. Like, what? You after you're done, you can chow down on it?
Just your holes sopping and not like the rest of your body is my question.
That's very precise.
Oh my God, I'm trying so hard not to say stuff.
That's precision sex right there. That's precision.
You have another bath mat for the rest of your body.
If you want to read about the poop, you can go to where, Nikki?
www.midnighthollow.com.
There we go. And our ending article is wonderful. Our story of the month, I guess. Of course, what state is this story from?
Florida.
Absolutely.
Of course it is.
Yeah. I actually created a Reddit account where all I have is strange and weird and what the news and stuff like that, and that's where I found
Your
this.
personal Reddit account.
Yeah. No, my personal Reddit account's full of titties and video games. Everything
I
a
love
man looks
kitties.
for. Actually, yes. I'm part of AWWW, which I absolutely love. Florida man has screwdriver surgically removed from rectum.
Damn near killed him.
A Florida man's mysterious abdominal pain. Why was this mysterious? I'm sure he knew
Like,
it was there.
Why does this screwdriver in my ass hurt?
I wonder. I don't know. I just have these pains, and I don't know why. Well, with Florida, you never know. The dude could have been high in bath salts or something. A Florida man's mysterious abdominal pain was the least of the doctor's concerns after they discovered an 8-inch screwdriver in his rectum.
What a champ.
That's... The unnamed 46-year-old man had suffered a near-fatal punctured bowel.
I love that it's unnamed. He will not release his name for this.
Why not? I mean, why not? You're in Florida. We're expecting it anyways.
It's like a sword swallower, but like the opposite.
Maybe you got all confused. How does this work?
Yeah.
I don't know why I would make
or
that
maybe
sound.
he didn't swallow it. It just made its way.
And it ended there. Oh, yikes. The unnamed 46-year-old man had suffered a near-fatal punctured bowel, resulted in septic shock that sent him to the ER.
You can't say ER.
According to the case report, it took a CT scan to find out what was responsible for the symptoms, including pain through his abdominal and pelvis. His doctors from the Kendall Regional Medical Center in Miami wrote, sepsis. I'm spitting all over the place. Had decayed part of the man's buttocks. How long is it in there if it's decaying men's buttocks?
He's got a decayed cheek.
Turn the other cheek, I guess, which had to be removed to eliminate the source of the infection. His medical records show a history of mental illness, well, there you go, including schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and living in Florida. Wait, what? Yeah. The man reportedly failed to take his medication, the report said. He was later treated for psychiatric distress. So, well, I mean, that kind of explains.
That explains everything.
Yeah, pretty much explains that. But even being psycho, like, where does the whole...
Why a screwdriver?
Why a screwdriver? Why the bunghole? Why not
Listen,
sword swallowing?
why the bumhole's not the right question.
My question is, how did he forget he put it in there?
Yeah.
It doesn't say how long. I want to, like...
That's what I would like to know.
Do they know how long? Like, I always relate these kind of crazy things to the lady with the potato in her vagina. That, remember, she kept it in there for 2 weeks or something? Like, crazy, like it was growing in her vagina.
Yeah.
Like, same thing with this. How long was it in there? Even if you're mentally incapable of understanding things, the pain's got to be overwhelming.
Yeah, that's sharp.
I wipe my ass the
Literally.
wrong way and I'm in pain. So I couldn't imagine having something like that stuck up my butt.
Yeah, not a screwdriver.
Not anything but screwdriver. Yeah, it's metal. And I wonder if it was a Phillips or a flathead.
It's a flathead now.
After x-rays revealed the foreign object, the man was immediately administered antibiotics and rushed to the operating room where doctors attempted to remove the screwdriver without surgery.
Oof.
Only one way to do that.
Crisco. This podcast is sponsored by Crisco. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, guys.
But it was hardened by... Oh, jeez.
Hardened.
Oh, no. I puked a little bit. But hardened human waste made retrieval impossible, so surgeons were forced to cut into the man's abdominal cavity.
So was he just not pooping?
So it was impacted.
That's the thing is, like, even if you have a screwdriver... Okay, I never thought I would say the sentence. Even if you have a screwdriver in your butt, when you poop, isn't it going to come out?
And if it was punctured,
right?
Maybe it was kind of like lodged in there and
If
like
you're
stuff was coming
pooping,
around it.
It's coming out. Because that's what they tell you when, like, your kid eats a penny or something. They're like, just watch. Like, it'll come out. It's not going to stay in there.
That must have been so... That's
So
true.
must
Did
have
he not poop?
pooped at all.
Yeah, maybe
he was
didn't
trying
poop.
to keep it in there.
There is...
And that would be the abdominal pain
Yeah.
and the sepsis.
There's instances where things, though, get... I don't want to say lodged, but where
like house.
people have, like, issues with stuff being stuck in there and they do still poop. It actually, your body tries to fight it and turns it into a more liquid form, making it easier to get around it and come out.
I mean, that could be
but
too.
That didn't it was in there.
But it says
With poop.
that
The hardened,
the hardened human waste is probably a little bit of both, where nothing came out, or if it did, it was just like yogurt through a doggy door.
That's a lot of yogurt.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Clearing your sweating over there.
Ugh.
That's like he must have had it. So I feel like he must have had a delusion in which he needed to have it in there. And he must have been trying to keep it in there because he knew it was in there. He hasn't been pooping.
But he's also mentally unstable.
He probably had some delusion that like it needed to be there. For
Like
a
he was a
reason.
robot, and that's how he
Or like
got himself.
Pick the wrong tool to fix his
aliens.
crack.
You know how people wear like the tinfoil because they're like it's deflecting the signals from the aliens or the government or something. He was probably like the metal will help like deflect whatever or something.
Maybe he had really bad gas, and he's like, "Man, I got to fix that."
Mm-hmm.
That's my sound effect for that.
Or maybe just enjoyed putting objects in his ass, and that was the closest thing in reach.
He was like, I lost it.
Now we can get into gerbils. One of the things that interested me on this is that there has been 3 documented cases of this happening before.
Are they all in
Cases
Florida?
of screwdriver and ass.
Doesn't say where it was. See, the study that there have been at least 2 previous documented cases of screwdrivers discovered in their colon, one of which led to death. The reason was, the first one was, can you guess what the first one was?
Anal play.
Yes, sexual pleasure.
Absolutely.
And the other one was?
Anal play.
Nope.
Oh, is it a different one?
It's something else.
It would help if I knew how much of the screwdriver was up there, or which end
They don't
they put
actually.
in first.
It was approximately 7.32 inches up the poop hole.
I was gonna say, was he trying to dislodge poop? Yes.
The other one was because
house.
he was constipated, and he thought that would dislodge the poop.
Yeah.
I mean, how?
Dig at it with a screwdriver. That's a great idea. I mean, don't take a suppository or anything. Just
Or use your hand. Like
Or
what?
drink water. Do something. Don't,
hand.
If you're gonna use anything.
Well, yeah. I mean,
well, if you
Why
could stick
use
your
a-
hand up there, I don't think
kind
you
of. I think you kind of got to start with a finger.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you could put a hand up there, you have no problems. But it just probably falls out.
Screwdrivers, not yeah.
Yeah, it just after you eat, you're like, well, I'm just going to sit on the toilet for 3 hours and just let it rain into the toilet bowl. Anyways, we'll kind of end on that raining in the toilet bowl. What did you guys think? A good episode? You guys like this?
I think we're never getting sponsored.
Except by Crisco, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the screwdriver.
Oh yeah, we can Stanley.
Oh,
Stanley, we can get Crisco.
what else?
Probably Scott's toilet paper, because that would
Charmin.
Charmin.
Yeah.
That would be even better. Other than that, Milton Bradley for Ouija boards.
Ouija boards,
Ouija
yeah.
boards, yeah. I think that should be one of our ending things. We see what we can be sponsored by at the end of every episode.
And then we just send them emails with our link in it.
I thought he was going to get like that from like a wordplay. Like he had heard the term like hammer your ass. And he's like, I wonder if a screwdriver could do that too.
He needed a good screw.
Yeah. Come on, there's got to be more puns.
He
well,
sounds like a tool.
So,
you're ridiculously good at those.
I can't help it. It's just the way I am.
so Johnny, you got anything to add to this lovely poop-filled podcast?
No, it's a bunch of bullshit.
Okay. Nikki?
I think I've contributed enough. I can't carry everything, you guys.
Why are you
know.
pressuring her, Jim?
She always gives me shit.
Yes. Oh, it was good.
Yeah. Was it hardened?
No.
Not too much, I guess.
Yeah. But
That one was the dumps.
before this gets any
Podcast has been a hot mess.
It's going down the drain.
rain.
Where's
Okay.
your soundboard, Jim?
I forgot to put that on no sleep thing because I had to keep it hit my button. All right. So thank you for listening to episode 6, the Zozo episode, and evidently the poop one. Somehow it did end up lots of poop at the end. I kind of like just saying
It
poop
went right down the crapper.
right down the crapper. We'll end with that one. Good job, Nikki.
Thanks.
So Midnight Hollow. Where you? Oh shit.
Where
Well, I didn't even mean that one.
That's a good one.
Well, what is it again?
Where you can get some strange.
Midnight Hollow, where you can get some strange. And that sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Why didn't it sound good last time?
Because you weren't saying that one.
You gotta say it with some authority. Like you're gonna get some
I think the
strange.
first
Johnny.
time you said where you can get some, and we were like, "What? That's not."
No, I think I said where you get your strange on.
Oh yes, that was
yeah.
it.
Get your strange on.
So Johnny, take us home. Get us to the final
Frontier.
yeah, end it for us.
Midnight Hollow. Go to www.midnighthollow.com
And then
where you can get some strange.
that was good.
Finisher.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.